On this debut episode of Film Crash, it's the 40-year anniversary of the release of the cult classic film Heavy Metal. I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should check that film out coming up next. Hey everybody, it's JDV here for EvilGeniusEntertainment.com. Thanks for stopping by this debut episode of Film Crash, where we're going to talk about everything cinematic, from how to make movies, to critiquing old films, to reviewing new ones. All right, I can't think of a better film to start this series off with than Heavy Metal, the great cult classic animated film from 1981. Today is the 40th anniversary of its release into movie theaters, so I'm going to jump right into it and give you 5 reasons why you should check out this cult classic film right now. Are you a degenerate drug user? Sure you are. Well, if you do like smoking the jazz cigarettes or drinking some of that Mad Dog 2020, then this is the movie for you. It's one of the greatest stoner movies ever made, right up there with anything that Stanley Kubrick did in 2001 to Cheech and Chong. It's just an amazing collection of songs, visuals, and far out storylines. It really does make for an amazingly fun experience if you're a little bit enabled. And as a bonus, if you're into anything 80s, either you want to flash back to that time, or if you want to know why your crazy uncle is the way he is, then maybe you should check out Heavy Metal. 4th reason why you ought to check out Heavy Metal is its great cast. Heavy Metal features one of the greatest comedic collections of talent of all time. It has John Candy, the Candyman, is in this, John Vernon, the Dean from Animal House, Joe Flaherty from SCTV, Eugene Levy is in this cast, and Harold Ramis from Ghostbusters and a million other things is in this. The whole cast is great, but those guys in particular really are just geniuses, and they really do add something magical to this film. 3rd reason why you ought to check out Heavy Metal is the amazing music in the film. Everything from the underscore by the great Elmer Bernstein, who did everything from Caddyshack to the 10 Commandments, does the score, which is just fantastic, completely great. And the songs, the actual rock and roll songs used in this film are even probably better. It has some of the greatest heavy metal bands and bands from the 80s of all time. Devo, Sammy Hagar, Cheap Trick, Journey are just some of the amazing bands that either wrote songs for the film or used songs that just fit the film perfectly. In many ways, it is the first true music video in that they're so incorporated in it. It's not just a promotional plug for an album, but these songs just marry perfectly into the crazy visuals that are seen in this film. 2nd reason, and speaking of crazy visuals, is that this film is absolutely unique at least in terms of movies I am aware of, and that you have several different animation houses using completely different styles and directors producing each segment for this film, of which I think there's 9 total, 8 or 9, something like that, plus credit sequences. And so you have an overarching script and you have the same voice talent in each of these segments, but each of the segments is produced by different American and Canadian animation companies. So the result is a fascinating collection of stories that are all kind of interlinked and yet look completely different. So you have some really technically complicated stuff like that is rotoscoped. You have kind of state-of-the-art Disney-esque Don Bluth animation and some much rougher animation style. It really is a fascinating collection of animating talent at that time period. And the number 1 reason why you ought to check out Heavy Metal is that it's just a lot of fun. It's just a great film that really does stand the test of time. It is fascinatingly dated with its over-the-top sexiness and kind of weird levels of violence, yet the script remains oddly relevant for several of these segments, more so than in 1981 when it was released. It really does stand the test of time and remains unique in the history of filmdom. Fire up those jazz cigarettes, grab yourself a 6-pack of the Rolling Rock, which they drink in the movie, and go out and watch Heavy Metal this weekend. All right, if you guys like this sort of content, please give me a thumbs up on the way out. It really does help the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and of course hit that notification bell. Love each other, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Film Crash. Mwah! If you listen to fools, the mob rules. Mob rules. Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.